and tell everybody else to get on because this interview today is going to be. Oh, anytime you ever thought, I got this, I know I got this, you can forget it. Whether you know the Lord or not, honey, you have to know him to know that nobody has got it. Nobody has arrived. And this particular author is another young one that calls me ma'am, but that's okay because I know that she has been raised to respect. Praise the Lord. Okay. Krista, get over yourself. All right. Anyway, I'm excited to interview this young lady. And I know that actually you need to bring some of your young adults. Young adults, you need to come on in, and parents too, because there's so much that she's going to talk about today that really ties into some things that not only do we need to understand as adults, but also what we need to share with others, whether you have children or you're mentoring somebody or whatever. Anyway, come on. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want you all to meet this sweet sister who is brilliant, y'all. Quit playing. All right? You better watch yourself. And she is coming today to talk about her book and really a part about her life as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome author of The Journey of Yes. Ooh, that's what caught me. The Journey of Yes, the everyday adventure of radical obedience. Woo! Welcome, Brenda Palmer. How you doing, honey?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I wouldn't do anything else, honey. I wish I could just meet you in person, I'm telling you. But you're in Austin, Texas today, right?
I'm in Houston.
Houston. Okay. Well, I know it does fit somewhere.
Like somewhere in Texas.
Somewhere in there. Okay. So you're originally from where?
I'm from Chicago, and I currently live in LA.
Okay, so I love you even more already. I'm from Chicago. I've only visited LA.
City in the world.
Yes. It's a unique place. It's an aggressive place. And so is LA in its own way, its own special way and stuff. I don't even know where to begin because there's so much in the title that makes me want to ask you 9 million questions. First of all, let me do the usual question people ask, okay? Why did you write the book?
In short, very on brand, but it was a step of obedience. I randomly was on Instagram Live and a girl was in my comments and she's like, have you ever wanted to write a book? I'm like, I don't know. It's not something I just thought about. And I began to enter the process. I got a literary agent. I was able to watch my social following grow. Eventually, an agency signed me, and then we started pitching to publishers. But the night before I pitched to my literary agent, I literally had a dream, and God gave me the title, The Journey of Yes. Now, the content has, of course, evolved over time, but it felt more like an assignment or a calling that my first book needed to be me telling my story of what my relationship with God has been like over the years. So I wanted to give like a tangible explanation to obedience. I think we can hear that word all the time. Sometimes it feels scary or intimidating. And so I wanted to say, like, here's what my life has been like on the journey of obedience. And hopefully it feels inviting enough for you to try it.
Whew. That's a beautiful boatload of obedience and obedient words of determination. It takes a lot to be obedient. I mean, I know it does, because how many of us got spankings when we didn't feel like it? Okay. I'm kind of curious. Okay, you said you have your podcast, and I think that is so cool. And the fact that somebody said to you, or several people, I'm sure, that why don't you write a book? So obviously, now this may sound a little crazy, but it makes me wonder sometimes if we really want to be obedient, and at the same time, we really want to have our little freedom, to do what we want, when we want, how we want. Why is that such a big word for you, obedience? What was it that stuck with you to make that such a big word?
Man, I think what you said is true. I think we often live in the tension of like, this is my life and I want to do with it what I want to do with it. And I think as I progressed in my relationship with God, I recognized my life was better in His hands than in mine. And so for me, obedience feels like an invitation. It doesn't feel like a task. It feels more like, okay, I follow this God, or at least I believe in this God. And I feel like obedience is a step to following a God I say I believe in. So it's more like essentially just an invitation, like, hey, come do this with me. I know you don't know where this is going to go. I know that you don't know where this is going to lead. But if you say you believe in me enough to trust me to take this step towards me. And I think it's a huge word for me because I've been able to trace the yeses in my life to all the things I've been able to experience. Even the hard things, getting through them, I can trace back to steps of obedience that got me to the other side of them. And so I felt like it isn't something we talk about all the time because it's not something we like. It's uncomfortable. We don't like the way it makes us feel. It means life without control, and nobody wants to do that. And so I felt like I wanted to bring some joy to what obedience is like. I wanted to show that, yeah, there are highs, yeah, there are lows, but nothing beats doing life with the God you say you believe in.
Mm-hmm. And you know, everything you say is concrete when it comes to experience. When you have been obedient and you get to the other side and you're like, okay, so this is how this works. Praise Him, hallelujah, He's able. Yeah. But while you're in it,
yeah,
I mean, aren't there moments where you're like, okay, either one, God, do you really know what you're doing? As bold as we can be in our hearts. Or sometimes it's a, did I really, was that God? Oh, or was that me? Or was that the pressure from externals, you know, with the way other people are living? They seem like they're doing all right and they didn't do okay. Well, I actually had a friend that after she fully gave her life over to the Lord, she was like, it seemed like everything I wanted to do was being accomplished when I wasn't really paying too much attention to what He was doing. Now it seems like my life is falling apart. Of course, over a period of time with her consistent obedience, things change and her perspective changed. But were there moments where you were like, that's okay, I got this, because this other way ain't working?
No, absolutely. I think every journey yields that response. I think I've had moments where a couple of years ago, I quit my job that's happened a couple of times at the height of, I would say, career or spaces I was in. And I feel like God would ask me to surrender it if I could trust Him enough to walk away from sometimes the very thing I always dreamed of. And I think when you get in the thick of not having a consistent paycheck, not knowing where you're going to live, not knowing where the next few days, like, are we going left? We going right? Like, what are we doing? I think there's this uncertainty that takes over that makes you doubt if you made the right decision. And I think what has helped me in those moments is like, okay, I've taken a couple of journeys with the Lord before. So who He's been in those past ones that I made to the other side, I apply that version of Him to the situation I'm in where I can't really see where He is, or I can't really see where He's taking me. I can say, okay, one thing I can hold on to is that He ain't never failed me. And so, no, I didn't have a job. I didn't have consistent paychecks, but I never went without. My bills have always been paid. The year I quit my job, I flew on more planes than I had ever flown in my life. Like, so I got to experience all these things. I didn't even have enough bravery to dream. God led me to those things. And I feel like a conversation that just said, will you trust me? Wow. And so ultimately, I think that it's less about the steps we take and more about the God we meet in taking the steps, because then I get this relationship with Him that makes me trust Him, that makes me go, okay, I'll do it. If your parent raised you and you guys have an intimate relationship with you and they pull up on you or they call you and say, come downstairs, let's go. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to ask a whole bunch of questions because you have a certain relationship with them and a trust that's already built. You like, I'll go anywhere with them because I know that they got me. I know they're not going to leave me nowhere that's going to hurt me or harm me. So you just jump in the car. It's a lot harder if a stranger who you didn't give your number to calls you and says, hey, come outside. You like, no. First of all, who are you? How did you get my number? Where are we going? Where are you trying to take me? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a difference that relationship makes. And when you have intimacy with somebody and you trust them, you'll go anywhere with them. And I feel like that's what my journey of yes has proven to me, is like, nah, I trust God. And this feels crazy. I don't know how I'm gonna tell my parents I'm gonna quit another job, but I do know that the God who's asking me to do it, he's trustworthy. So I'm gonna just take this leap of faith and follow him and see where it goes.
Okay. Woo! Okay, you got sweat going down my back, honey. It ain't because it's 9,000 degrees in Nashville. The first thing I wanted to ask you, and I should have written down, the first thing I wanted to say was, you say you wouldn't follow a stranger, okay? Now, let me write that down so I can remember, because I'm a little older than... All right, and the other thing was that T word that a lot of people are like, but people don't realize it's the other T word that brings significance to the T word, trust. And the other T word is time. You have to trust over a period of time, okay? I'm gonna ask you something about that. All right, in just a second. The other thing is, a stranger you will not follow. Now, here's one thing that I find very interesting, especially in the underground arenas of sex trafficking with little babies and children, 2 and 3 year olds. When it comes to following a stranger, if there's something that you deeply desire, it's interesting how the enemy recognizes it and says, hey, sugars, I know you love now laters or blow pops. We've got like 6 flavors. Can you just come over here? It only take a second, and that luring away. The other thing is about trust and time. Did you, and that's 2 double questions, so you can choose which one you want to answer first. Did you have a moment in that trust portion that you were hesitant about it and changed your mind? Because, you said your parents, how am I going to tell my parents again? I'm getting ready to quit another job. Because instantly your mind is like, oh God, they're going to say, girl, what is wrong with you? Why don't you just bring yourself on home? And, all of that. So the first one, can you answer the first one for me about the stranger you will not follow and the things that the enemy has used, to pull you into his direction or pull you away, which is the same thing, from the obedience of God?
Yeah, I think the stranger thing is really interesting. In the world we live in with like influence and exposure to things, I think at the point of me stepping away from my job, I saw God increase my influence. And I remember having an opportunity to do reality TV on a major network. And for somebody who's chasing influence, and right, you think like, oh, I'm trying to get my name out there, like people need to know me. The other part of it that Christians like to use is like, I get to take the gospel to the world. Like, God, we get to level up and take this more places. And I just remember God going, this is not me. I am not in this. And that could seem hard when it's something like, I remember being a kid and like wanting to be on TV and like wanting to have my own talk show. And I remember in that moment having that crossroads even, right? Because I think I could have chose that as an opportunity and see where it led and just went with it. And I could have stamped God's name on it. I could have said, look at God opening doors. Just walk over.
If it turns out good, you can automatically say, look at God.
Yeah. We love to do that. And I think one of the things when we talk about like luring away is that some of those things, most of those things are empty, right? They lead you to a place, but they don't ever offer you peace. Sometimes they lead to destruction. And so I think being able to see, I am one of those people who pay attention to the timing opportunities are presented. I think that makes the world of a difference, right? So let's say you take the journey of yes. You say, okay, I'm gonna be obedient. I'm locked in. I'm focused. God, I know this is what you told me to do. At the point of the decision that you know this is what the Lord told you to do, here comes a distraction that sometimes looks really good. And you like, oh, this is the Lord. It's not, because it's literally pulling you away from the decision you just made. And so I try to lean on, okay, who sent this? Where did this come from? And what is it? Instead of like using it as like, God, why would you allow this to test me? I'm going, man, what God is taking me into has to be huge, that the enemy would throw his best card to take me away from the season I'm in right now. And so I think that goes back to like being able to decipher the voice. I think it's really simple. Is this decision going to serve me, or is it going to serve others? And that's usually a good tell for like who's the one calling you into the thing. If I'm going to do reality TV, that is all about Brenda. That is all about me blowing up, like me, you know what I'm saying? Like at the core of it, it's not really going to serve others. It might even hinder what God's asking me to do, because nobody's going to take me serious when I'm on a platform to preach. It's like, girl, I just saw you on that show. Even if I'm not acting crazy, it's like, why are you on this? Why are you doing this?
Why are you a part of it?
It dilutes the influence that God's trying to give me in this space, because the timing that came is when God started to increase my influence and impact within the entertainment industry. And so I'm like, we have to pay attention to the things, because the enemy, temptations come from within. So there's something in me that desires that, and the enemy is playing on it. And if we don't pay attention to that, he will use it at every level. And so I think like being able to decipher those things on the very, very basis level, it's like, is this thing going to serve me, or is it going to serve others? And I think that helps us learn how to keep taking steps towards them or not.
Mm-hmm. When you say serve me, I'm just talking to you. I'm assuming you mean serve you as in the call that God has for you, and not serve you as in me, myself, and I.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that. So like when I say serve me, I mean like this feeds my ego. This accomplishes my dreams. My like usually, because sometimes people are like, well, how do I know if it's like a God thing or like just a thing that's coming from somewhere else? And I think the question you ask is like, when I take this decision, is it going to benefit others, or is it only going to benefit me and my desires? And typically God's not going to lead you into a thing that only benefits you, because he has a bigger plan that our little inkling of a decision plays a role in.
Okay, there was a fine line there. I said, wait a minute, let me make sure.
Yeah.
I knew you would fix it up real good, honey. Make it clear to some that says, wait a minute, maybe I could. I love how you said directions and distractions, because God's direction is significantly different from the enemy's distractions. I love how you said that. Because, and to be able to discernment is the other D word in that process. And a big part of it is what you said earlier, is having a relationship with him. As whoever you have the strongest relationship with, that's where your focus is going to be and your following is going to be. I love also how you said promote me, or is this promoting God? Is it promoting me, myself, and I, or is it promoting the call that he has on me? Because you know what I think is interesting is when you say, you know, how you're on social media and this person seems really hyped and they're really doing this, and what is it? Likes and follows, you know, you're always looking for that. You're always looking for the majority of that, you know, I have 100K followers, or look, I got 1 million likes on this. You just kind of feel good. This must be God or what have you. And the thing about it is what I'm reading from you and what I'm sensing from you is you can't make that the confirmation that God is in it. Is it a good thing, or is it a God thing? Now, sometimes it's just what comes with the fact that you have followed what God has said, but you can't totally depend on that. And sometimes that gets a little confusing when you're in the process of marketing and promoting. But there was one thing that somebody said to me, and I wonder if that's also true for you. When you've been called to do certain things, in for lack of a better word, in promoting what God has given you, to keep the mindset of, no, I'm not promoting me, I'm promoting what God is doing. I am promoting what God has given me. Because when we separate it, it helps us to not think, hello, I'm here. Instead, hello, look who's here. You understand what I'm saying? And
Yeah, no.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say no, 100%. Something I say is that I live life open-handed. So everything that I have belongs to the Lord. And I've just been entrusted to steward it, but I never grip it. And that also includes my life. My life is also something that's been entrusted to me to steward. And so it's like, if this doesn't belong to me, I want to always check with the person who this belongs to before I make a decision. And that's also what's driving it. And so I think so much of my life has been a product or fruit of my decisions to follow God that I recognize I didn't do none of this to get here. And I think that I don't know, I live at the mercy of the Lord for real. So I just be like, oh, I know this is not about me. And I think whenever I get to a place where Brenda tries to take over, I feel like I try my hardest to Lord, deal with that, immediately. Because even like with the book, I'm like, I have a publisher, so there are just like certain things you have to do. And I found myself getting lost in that. Like, I'm like, okay, I gotta get this person on the team, I gotta get this person on the phone, I gotta this. And I just feel like God was like, hey, hold up, let's pause. What are we after? And I was like, you know what? That's a good question. Let me pause. Let me, like, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of it had to do with, like, every time I would get off the call with the publisher, I would feel like there are all these things I gotta do. And I feel like God's like, I didn't ask you to do any of that. Like, I just need you to just be. And you've done the work, you've written the book. I'm pleased with what you've done. And that is how we measure success over here on this side of the kingdom. Is, did you do what the Lord said do? Absolutely. Whatever happens from this moment on is on the Lord. And so I think that because I try to keep that as my focus, it's really easy to just be like, okay, Lord, you want me to get off social media? Cool. You can have it today. You know what I'm saying? Like, and learning to like create rhythms where I step away so I never get lost or enamored with it, because it's really easy to keep feeding yourself what everybody else thinks. But what you should also learn about social media is today they will love you, and tomorrow you do something they don't like, they will hate you. And I've also experienced that. And so I think like being able to just go, okay, like this is all fleeting. And when I take my last breath, I can't take none of these likes, none of these follows, none of this money. None of that is going to go with me after I take my last breath. So now I'm like, okay, so what am I actually living for? And is it going to outlast my last breath? And so I think when we shift like what we measure success by as believers, I think it gets easier to go like, oh, this doesn't belong to me. And I'm not going to hold it with this level of ownership. Like, I got to do all these things to make it happen, because I ain't the one who made it happen in the first place. I don't want that pressure or that weight. If the Lord did this, then he the one that got to sustain it. When I do something in my own strength, then I have to sustain it. And I'm not that smart. So I think like I'd rather live life unpressured and very relaxed and chill. And I have someone I can give things to and be like, well, Lord, you put me here, so you figure it out. And that feels very great. Like I could just be chilling and be on a whole book. So it's like, how you feel? I'm like, I'm cool. I've already pleased the Lord. I've accomplished what I was supposed to accomplish. Everything else after this is an overflow of whatever the Lord decides to give me. And so it's peaceful living that way.
I love how you have repeated the word peace, because that was going to be my next question. Recognizing the peace of God that passeth all understanding. And you know how sometimes you hear people say, well, I had a peace about it, so there you go, and being able to help others to decipher, what peace are you talking about? Is it peace, or is it a relief that you have made up your mind that you're not going to fool with this any longer. Okay. What does that look like? What does peace look like when it comes from recognizing this is from God?
Yeah, I love this question, because I think the misconception is that peace is the absence of chaos, and it is not. Peace.
I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna throw at you that will actually get to you from the screen. Okay.
Peace is the ability to withstand in the middle of chaos, and it's almost unexplainable. It is quitting my job, not knowing where I'm gonna stay most of the time, but watching God uproot my friends out of their houses for months, and them just saying, hey, you can stay here for 6 months because I'm on tour. Or you could go and stay at my parents' house because they're going out of the country. And you know what I'm saying? Like, and being able to not know that that's what's gonna happen, but just be at peace. When my parents are like, girl, what are you gonna do? What is the Lord saying? Are you finna get a job? Are you finna move back home? Are you like all these questions? And I'm going like, no, I'm just following the Lord. There is this innate response that somebody else is in control of all of these things, and I don't have to worry. It just, I can't explain it, but it only exists in the will of God. Because I could be in the same situation, moving on my own accord, and be completely just going crazy. And I'm like, what is going on? Like overwhelmed by it all. I just have this ability to just level set, even though everything around me and in my life is chaotic. There is just this peace in knowing like, okay, it's cool because God is with me. It is Jesus being asleep on a boat in the middle of the storm while the rest of the disciples are like, hey bro, we finna die. Wake up. How are you asleep? And I'm like, nah, because Jesus is giving us a blueprint on what it looks like when God gives you a word. You sleep, you rest. There's this ability to not worry or be concerned because God is with me. Now that is not always easy. When my bills are due and I don't got the money, I'm stressed. But then instead of it pushing me away from God, I'm like, hey bruh, what we about to do? Because he hasn't failed me, but I feel like sometimes he be, you know what I'm saying, pushing the line. It's like, this is due tomorrow. We don't want to wait until tomorrow.
You're picking up your bill and going up to heaven saying, hello?
Oh, you got to do something about this.
You know what today's date is?
Exactly. And I've had moments where I've tried to take things in my own hands. I mean, I've like applied for jobs. I have 2 degrees and working on a 3rd. And you would think like, oh, I could get a job anywhere. No, it doesn't work. Because the Lord's like, that's not what I told you to do. And so I think to answer your question, there are moments where I'm like, I don't like having to depend on something outside of myself. And he's like, and that's your problem. And that's what I'm after. This desire to be self-sufficient. No. Brenda Palmer will live dependently on the Lord. And if that means I got to take every opportunity or every time something's going well and you forget that I'm the source, I will do that. And so I think when we look at our situations, everybody's journey is going to be different. But most of the time, it's not about the thing that you're in. It's about what God's trying to uproot out of you so that the place that you've been praying for, you can become the person who can sustain that place and recognize why he sent you there in the first place. Because if you don't go through the wilderness, if you don't go through the tough stuff, you don't become the person that can handle where God's trying to take you. And then when you get there and you lose it, now you're mad at God because you're like, well, God, why you didn't do that? Well, he tried to build you. You the one trying to escape the wilderness before your time. And so I think when we have that, I have an understanding that if I'm journeying through some level of suffering, it's because God's trying to build me. He's either taking things out or he's imparting things that I need. Because when I get to this place, I don't get to this place, Brenda, the author, without the last 2 years. I don't get here with the right mindset, with the understanding that this is God's moment, that he's entrusted me to steward. I don't get here without the stuff I had to journey through. And so I think like you too, whatever thing is in your heart, God probably put it there. But can you trust him enough to endure the journey so you can be the person he desires for you to be in that moment and not be trying to rush to get there because you tired of waiting or you tired of suffering.
Whew. Okay, there were 55 sermons in that one.
I know. I was like, okay, Brenda, really did.
No. It was rich. You know, you just described the significance of recognizing 2 scriptures that seem completely opposite. I'm going to paraphrase them, so to speak. One of them is we're about us being filthy rags. Mm-hmm. And the other one is that we were fearfully and wonderfully made. Now, which one is right? Both of them. Mm-hmm. We were originally fearfully and wonderfully made, yet we act like filthy rags. So how do we get to what we were supposed to be? And that is him taking us through that journey and synonymously moving us toward our calling to live, move, and breathe and have our being in him, and at the same time do the things that he has called us to do. Girl. All right. I just finished producing and directing a production, play production, powerful. And once it's recorded and everything, I'm gonna send it to you and stuff. Okay. I've been doing it. It's for a ministry that's been doing it for over 50 years, and did not get a chance. It's very, very, very time consuming. So every time I saw the title of your book, since I got a chance to talk with Randy, your promoter and everything, I was like, man, I need to sit down and read this book before I talk to her. Because the title alone was everything that not just myself, but a ton of other people who really want to follow what God says, when God says, how God says, even though it's very uncomfortable, okay? So this, I already know, this book is rewarding on leaps and bounds, and I am getting it. You do have it on audio, right?
Audio.
Okay. Awesome. And where can we find Brenda Palmer?
On all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook. I am Brenda Palmer. And then my website is iambrendaPalmer.com. And maybe in a city near you. We're currently on a book tour. God's just doing his big one with this, and I'm just for the ride. But super grateful that I get to carry this message in this time. Because I'm like, Lord, it's not happening in the world. But I think if anything, now more than ever, we need to be telling the Lord yes, because time is running out. And so I think God's timing is always perfect. So I'm excited to see what God's going to do in the lives of the people he loves.
If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 34.
I thought sure you were going to say 24 because you look like a baby.
I know. I get that all nobody ever believes. I'm like, y'all, I'm almost to my 40s. Jesus. Well, yes, I'm 30.
And it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. When I turned 60 a few months ago, I didn't recognize the number. I was like, what does that balloon say? That's not.
And you don't look it at all,
No. What? Oh, bless you. You don't look anywhere near. I thought, isn't she cute? I'm getting ready to talk to a little 17-year-old. Hi, boo-boo.
Always, it never fails, and I could tell when people talk to me because they're so amazed, like, wow, the wisdom. But I've probably been talking like this since I was 24. I think since I was a kid, I think that's a gift the Lord gave me is wisdom. So
yeah. But
it is so funny that people be like, oh, you're so cute. I'm like, thank you.
Do you think that the wisdom was boy, we have gone way over, but I don't care because I'm having a ball talking to you, and I know those who are listening are eating up what you're sharing. Do you think that some of the wisdom was also nurtured by your parents because we have something in common?
Oh, for sure. I'm a PK, but also I'm the youngest of 10, and my mom had me with her tubes tied. So she was 38 and not intending to have any more children. So I also have older parents. So I think for sure. Yep.
Okay.
And I have a blended family. So I'm the only one they have together because they were done. They was just somewhere tipping and dipping. And the Lord said, "You thought you was done, but not so." So
Wow.
mom fully had her two sides. My brother, that's closest to me on my mom's side, we're 13 years apart because she was done, so she thought. So for sure, I think I probably came out old. For sure.
Because you probably heard your parents' conversation. You're like,
all the time, yeah.
There's no Sesame Street.
No, not at all. I remember being like 10 in summer camp counseling my counselor. She was like 24 asking me all kind of questions. And I'm like, yeah, you should just, I was 10. Like, I had no business talking to her about the things she was talking to me about. I don't know. I guess it's just a gift.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And isn't it a wonderful gift?
It is. Sometimes it can be a little taxing because sometimes I'll just be in random places and strangers will just start telling me their business. And I'm like, okay, let's do it.
Oh my gosh. Brenda, you have been a breath of fresh air. A constant reward. I tell you what, I'm telling people to like, subscribe, and share. Y'all, even if y'all don't, I'm going to like, subscribe, and share. There are so many, not just young people, but parents, even some pastors, who are basically kind of like, is this thing really real? You know, and even some people that have businesses and stuff where they have basically started giving up because they're like, God, are you going to come through like you said you would? Because I think it's a natural thing that the impatience is there, you know. It's like, oh, God, I know what you showed me, you know, because the word that the Lord gave me, and it still sits heavy on my soul and my spirit. It's like, oh, wow. The prophetic word that the Lord gave me was October 2005. And as we are recording this, it is June 2025. And everything that you said today ties into, oh, okay. You know the phrase where it say that you're waiting on God, but God is waiting
on you. Mm-hmm.
And you're steady saying, can you come on? Just ignore what you waiting on me. Just come on with it. But knowing that if he did where I am right now, I would have been not just a disaster to myself, but a disaster to the people that God has called me to. And everything you said confirmed so much, even for my old self, okay? You better do it with the wisdom, sugar. I've had a ball with you today. And I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait to hear the feedback from those you will minister to and how much this will encourage others who get a chance to hear from your heart and hear what God has shown you. Y'all got to get the book. Quit playing, okay? Stop reading all that other craziness. You got to get the book. I'm definitely getting it because, you know, I have a long commute. So I have Automobile University, baby. And I get excited when I get to rewind stuff, you know. And then I love the hard copy because then you can highlight. Because there's a difference between putting your eyes to the words and actually hearing it. So you get double time. You are a jewel. And like I say in my book, you are God's masterpiece. And every piece of you is just oozing out with all of what God has called you to do and to be. Thank you so much, Sister Brenda Palmer. You're officially one of my roadies now, okay?
Thank you. Yeah. Great.
I wish you tremendous success, tons of success. And I know it's coming because you know who to follow, you know who to commit to, you know who to stay humble. And that's another word we didn't get a chance to get to. Humility and submission. Boy, it's just saturated in everything that you said. But I wanted to break that down a little bit. But wow, we may have to make this a part 1 and a part 2, okay? But God bless you, precious. I look forward to actually having you on again at some point. I'm sure that would just be exciting for me. And oh my God, if you're anywhere near Nashville, Tennessee, and you have a book signing, you better call us, sister. Okay?
Okay, now I will.
I want to be there. I want to be there to support you. Thank you so much, Brenda. It has been the utmost pleasure. Y'all, thank you for taking the time to listen and to draw near to God as He draws near to you, especially with some excellent guests, Lord. I hope that every step that you take from this point on keeps you focused and embedded in the Word of God, because there's nobody else. I mean, He's the best relationship in the world, in the universe, in eternity. If you don't know that now, please get to know Him through it. And please definitely get Brenda's book, okay? And of course, the Word of God. You got to have the Bible too, all right? Always have the Bible. And keep it locked right here, you all. I mean, we've got a ton of people we're going to be interviewing and talking to, and they're going to be sharing where their hearts are in the process of the journey that they are on. Hey, whatever you do, wherever you go, whatever you're going through, good, bad, or ugly, you make sure you take joy on your journey. I'll see you next time. I'm Crystal Joy, your host. Hey, God bless.